We begin on the campaign trail, and Vice President Kamala Harris is visiting the battleground state of Georgia for the 6th time this year. She heads to Atlanta today for a rally where she's teaming up with rapper Megan Thee Stallion before rounding out the week with a couple of events in Houston. Former President Donald Trump has a busy few days ahead as well. He'll attend the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Chicago tomorrow, before making campaign stops in Pennsylvania and the Hamptons. We're bringing you team coverage of the 2024 election. CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi is following the Trump-Vance campaign. Let's go ahead and begin with CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe, who is in Atlanta covering the Harris campaign. So, Ed, Megan Thee Stallion, the latest musician to put her support behind Harris. How do these two get connected, and how important is Georgia for both parties?
Lindsay, good to be with you. They go back a few years. I know I was scrolling her Instagram, for example, this morning, and there's photos of Megan Thee Stallion at the vice president's residence a few years ago for a women's history event. So no surprise that she's offered up her services to the vice president and that she will be here tonight to provide just a little more star power to a crowd that's expected to be in the thousands. I don't know if you can see, and Daryl's going to show us here, we're on Hank Aaron Drive here, south of the Georgia State Capitol. The first person to get in line got here, she told me, around 9 a.m. That's more than 10 hours before this event is scheduled to begin. These ladies have been here, they're scooting their... See, you'd think we were at a Bulldogs or a Panthers game here in town, but in fact, they're all here for the vice president. And I asked one of them, I said, would you have ever done this for President Biden? And she said, like him, but I don't think so. So that gives you a sense of the kind of motivation, the kind of interest and excitement there is now in this campaign versus the Biden campaign. And it's why the Harris campaign is out there this morning saying they believe Georgia is back in play. It was clearly slipping away from Biden in the last several weeks as there were concerns raised about his age, as Trump was enjoying better organization, better enthusiasm about his campaign. But now, with this kind of an event here in Atlanta today, drawing Trump-sized crowds, drawing Obama-sized crowds, drawing Bernie Sanders-sized crowds that we used to see back in the day, and doing so in the middle of hot July, that, Lindsay, should give you a sense of the kind of interest and enthusiasm they're now beginning to anticipate in battlegrounds like Georgia.
So one of the leading VP candidates for Harris has taken himself out of the running. What can you tell us about Roy Cooper, and who is leading the conversation of top contenders?
Yeah, he essentially signaled that there were concerns about what might happen should he leave the state and North Carolina's Republican lieutenant governor step into the role. He's running for the job right now as Roy Cooper is term limited. And North Carolina is one of those states. There's a handful of them across the country where when the governor leaves, the lieutenant governor can take over, and the lieutenant governor can do things pretty quickly to change state policy. And so they didn't want that to become an issue. There may have been other reasons, but that's certainly the big public one cited. So that means he's out of contention, and that leaves others like Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Mark Kelly, the Arizona senator, perhaps Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as the kinds of people on that list. Again, we don't know the full extent of it, but we know those are some of the leading names. But that Roy Cooper and Gretchen Whitmer up in Michigan say they're not on it, they don't want to be part of it, gives us a sense that perhaps that list is shorter. And we are still expecting some kind of an announcement by midweek next.
Who are you watching who's not on the list that we just showed? You said this might not be a complete, extensive, exhaustive list.
Lindsay, one more time, as I was getting asked a question here.
Sure. Who are you watching for who could be added to that list, who we don't have on that graphic that we just showed, who hasn't sort of been part of the leading conversation?
I can't see that graphic, but Gary Peters, obviously the senator from Michigan, is one that labor unions in that state and across the country have suggested to the Harris campaign should be someone looked at as a potential running mate, given his ties to organized labor, given the fact that he's from that battleground state, and given that Gretchen Whitmer herself has said she's not interested. It might lend another statewide official to that list. And beyond that, we'll just have to wait and see, like everyone else, about who exactly it might be.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you.